A television series, nay, a franchise on the brink, faltering after 3.5 seasons, a feature film, and billions of dollars in sales of licensed merchandise. Was it possible to correct the course of their historic, once-in-a-lifetime success? A bridge to the future of the franchise erased by the feature film that followed it? Could it be restored by a fan-driven hoax? Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Power Rangers Zeo. Power Rangers Zeo is a live-action television series that ran 50 episodes over one season from April to November of 1996. It is a continuation of the 3.5 previous seasons of Power Rangers, and yet a starting point for a whole new approach to the franchise. The Power Rangers are a team of 5, sometimes 6 superheroes with teenage attitudes. Their powers were given to them by Zordon, who recruited them to protect Earth from the forces of the evil Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed. After countless defeats, Rita and Zed have accomplished what was previously thought to be impossible: the destruction of the Power Rangers Command Center, the Ranger powers, and all of their Ranger stuff. On top of that, they stole the Zeo Crystal, the only thing capable of restoring the Rangers' powers. Just before the Command Center imploded, Alpha 5 saved the powerless Rangers by teleporting them outside. As they survey the damage and mourn the apparent loss of Zordon and Alpha 5, their hopes are renewed when they discover that the Zeo Crystal wasn't stolen after all. In fact, nearly everything that was thought to be lost just a few moments ago is restored. Alpha 5 and Zordon are alive in the sub-basement of the repaired command center, and the Rangers graduate to their new powers and new suits, which they will need to take on the evil Machine Empire. Led by King Mondo and Queen Machina, they're an empire of robots so evil that even Rita and Lord Zed are vacating the galaxy so they don't suffer the consequences. They take the incredible step of leaving Earth to move in with Rita's father, Master Vile. The Power Rangers, as you have known them, are gone forever. In their place has emerged a new and more advanced fighting force. They have now become the Power Rangers Zeo, the next level in the fight against evil. Thank you to 80stees.com for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below and use code TOYGALAXY to get 30% off your order today. What's the first thing that pops into your head when I say the 1980s or the 1990s? Don't think about it, just say it. 1, 2, 3. Rubik's Cube. Yes, they have that, or they had that, or they will have that. 80stees.com is constantly refreshing their inventory with officially licensed t-shirts featuring characters, quotes, and logos from cartoons, comics, TV shows, movies, wrestling, and music from the 1970s through the 2000s. So while I can't guarantee that everything you can think of will be in stock, I can guarantee that you'll always be surprised by the range of their selection. 80stees.com has something for everyone. Your favorite heroes like Batman, Spider-Man, Mega Man, Deadpool, and Wolverine, Voltron, both Lion and Vehicle, Star Wars, Stargate, old and older Battlestar Galactica, Motley Crue, Biz Markie, Pink Floyd, and Jimi Hendrix. Find the shirt that's right for you, the one that speaks to your interests, and lets the world know that there's no bigger fan of scratch and sniff stickers, spam, or Kellogg's Fruit Loops than you. And you can prove it because you're wearing the shirt. Click the link below and use code TOYGALAXY for 30% off your order today. Again, that's code TOYGALAXY for 30% off your order. And thanks again to 80stees.com. Power Rangers is one of the most successful children's television franchises in history, selling billions of dollars across a full spectrum of licensed merchandise. They took the world by storm in 1993, but by 1995 it was beginning to falter. This is how we got there, real quick.
地球の平和を守る5人のスーパー戦士。新番組恐竜戦隊10レンジャーお楽しみに。
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers began as a Japanese children's television series created by Toei called Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. It aired in Japan from 1992 to 1993 as the 16th version of the Super Sentai series. Super Sentai are the multicolored martial arts superheroes fighting against evil in battles that typically culminate in a giant robot versus a giant monster before things are resolved at the end of the 22-minute broadcast. Toei's Super Sentai series rebooted itself with a new theme, new characters, new costumes, new robots, and new villains nearly every year since 1975, and continues to do so today, almost 50 years later. Super Sentai was imported to the US when Saban recognized that an American version could be produced quickly and profitably by reusing the in-costume fight scenes and reshooting the out-of-costume scenes with American actors. Even better, the toys and associated merchandise were already manufactured, only requiring new packaging to be sold outside of Japan. 1992's Zyuranger in Japan became 1993's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the US. The first episode aired in August, and by Christmas, the Power Rangers were already on a path to historic children's television ratings and billions in merchandise sales. But the amount of usable footage from Zyuranger was limited, exhausted after about 40 episodes, so Saban Entertainment invested in new episodes for Power Rangers with monsters and fight scenes that never occurred in the Japanese Zyuranger series to get through the final 20 episodes of Season 1. In 1994, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers diverged from Super Sentai by refusing to fully reboot. In the US, the Zyuranger costumes were already iconic. It could have been brand suicide to move away from what was already making so much money. But Saban couldn't avoid the inevitable, they could only delay it. Season 2 began the awkward transition to the next Japanese series footage, 1993's Gosei Sentai Dairanger. Awkward because Saban continued to use the Zyuranger suits, but the Dairanger scenes, monsters, and robots. Through the end of Season 3 in November of 1995, Saban Entertainment managed to perform an astounding degree of television editing magic that utilized footage, costumes, characters, monsters, weapons, and robots from 3 different Japanese series while maintaining the primary 5 Ranger costumes from the first. But ratings were in decline, sales were in decline, nearly the entire original cast was gone. It was time to start over. Sort of. After 3 seasons, Saban needed a bridge to the rebirth of the franchise. Sure, Power Rangers was still the #1 children's television show in the 5-day-a-week category, but it was no longer the highest-rated kids program on television overall. Goosebumps took the lead.
You know, zombies, ghouls, the undead.
As ratings declined, merchandise sales declined with it, down roughly 35% from 1994 through 1995. Saban sought a return to what made Power Rangers work from the beginning as a highly profitable financial vehicle, being able to import existing footage and related merchandise from Japan and repackage it for the US. That meant moving away from the Zyuranger suits and embracing the annual Super Sentai tradition of a new team every year. Some plot elements could carry through the continuing franchise, but new teens would need to be introduced to the cast to keep things fresh and exciting for the new kids entering the audience. After considering such extreme scenarios as killing off some or all of the major characters, they decided instead to make superficial changes. The final episode of Season 3 planted the seeds for the final push away from the Zyuranger legacy. A cliffhanger left the Rangers as depowered, de-aged child versions of themselves, and the newly introduced Zeo crystal, a source of immense power, shattered into 5 pieces and hidden throughout time and space. In February of 1996, a brief 10-episode bridge season called Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers temporarily replaced the human Rangers with aliens from the planet Aquitar. It used footage from the 18th Super Sentai series, Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger, that aired in Japan from February of 1994 to February of 1995, which Power Rangers had already been pulling from through Season 3. Alien Rangers continue to set up the narrative elements needed to kick off the official 4th season of Power Rangers. It acted as a soft course correction to fully embrace the Super Sentai series as an annual source of new production material. By the end of Alien Rangers, the Power Rangers were back to their late teen/adult selves. Aisha was swapped out for Tanya as the 3rd Yellow Ranger. Tommy is left as the last original Ranger actively rangering. The Zeo crystal was reassembled, installed as a new power source in the Power Rangers Command Center, then stolen as the Command Center, and everything about the Power Rangers of the first 3 seasons is destroyed. Saban let the past die. They killed it because they had to.
The power is gone, and the threat of evil looms large.
What a miss. It's been totally wiped off the map.
How can the Rangers defend the Earth? Starting this week, you'll get a peek at the shapes of things to come. Power has never been so precious. Watch Power Rangers this week for a taste of what's to come. Each day, another exciting sneak peek. Be among the first to glimpse into the future on Power Rangers.
Saban's Power Rangers Zeo began airing in April of 1996. It borrowed footage, costumes, characters, monsters, weapons, and robots from the 1995 Japanese Super Sentai series Choriki Sentai O-Ranger, themed around ancient civilizations and mythology with costume elements inspired by geometric shapes and numbers. The Rangers' belt-mounted morphers were replaced by a pair of wrist-mounted Zeonizers. In theory, that meant that Morphin time was over. Heck, it wasn't even used in the series title anymore. But you gotta use a trademark if you want to keep it, so the Rangers continued to announce their Morphin intentions just before carrying through with Zeonization. Power Rangers Zeo kicked off a new era of Power Rangers with several carryover cast members and a few new additions. Original cast members included Robert Manahan as the voice of Zordon, Richard Wood as the voice of Alpha 5, Paul Schreier and Jason Navi were back as Bulk and Skull respectively. The only original Rangers left in the cast were Jason David Frank as Tommy, a Red Ranger for the first time, and David Yost as Billy Cranston, although no longer a Ranger himself. Second-generation Rangers Johnny Young Bosch, Steve Cardenas, and Catherine Sutherland returned as Adam, Rocky, and Catherine. Nakia Burrise joined the cast as Tanya, technically the fourth Yellow Ranger after Trini, Aisha, and the Space Fish Guy. Brief appearances were made by Ed Neal as the voice of Lord Zed and Barbara Goodson as the voice of Rita Repulsa. David Stenstrom played King Mondo, and Alex Borstein was Queen Machina. Should have put break in there. There was a lot of names. I had trouble pronouncing. But we made it. We did it. We got through it. We got through it. It's the hardest part of every script. Saban's Gambit worked well at first. New costumes, new powers, new villains, new robots, and new toys sustained the top ratings and sales that Power Rangers was used to. But as the season wore on, the ratings attrition began. Not even the return of original Red Ranger Austin St. John as Jason the Gold Ranger was enough to put the Rangers back on the top of the ratings. Perhaps an oversaturated market full of alternatives to Power Rangers was to blame. Saban's own Big Bad Beetleborgs was newer and offered a more unique take on the live-action kids superhero show. Perhaps kids who had initially fallen in love with the Power Rangers in 1993 had already outgrown the fandom and moved on to other things. Or maybe it was a look at the future of the franchise, a pattern that would be repeated for years, an initial boost out of the gate as kids tuned in for the new season that tapered off as the new became the norm. Power Rangers Zeo only lasted one season of 50 episodes, but that was, after all, the plan. The last episode aired in November of 1996 to be followed by Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, which could have been the bridge between Zeo and Turbo the way Alien Rangers was between Morphin and Zeo, but it wasn't. We'll come back to that. Power Rangers Zeo continued the march of merch through retail. Bandai America imported and rebranded action figures in a variety of scales. Role-play weapons, pajamas, watches, school supplies, tiny robots, combining robots, giant robots, Pure Midas, one of the biggest Zords ever, and Zeo fanny packs. Image Comics had the rights to Power Rangers and in August of 1996 began publishing Power Rangers Zeo. Despite 4 issues being planned, only 1 was ever released. Fans would have to wait decades for the suits to make an appearance in Boom Studios' Power Rangers comics in the late 20-teens. Some episodes of Power Rangers Zeo found their way to VHS in 1996. The entire season was released on DVD for the first time in 2012. As of this video, it is available on various streaming services like Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, and Pluto TV, or here on YouTube at the Power Rangers official channel. When Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, was released in March of 1997, it contained almost no reference to Zeo other than returning cast members. It took place in the same world, but made no effort to maintain storylines from Zeo. There is no Machine Empire, and it seems as if there never was. In the years that followed, fans online speculated as to whether or not Saban had ever intended to produce a series like Alien Rangers to smooth out the transition between Power Rangers Zeo in 1996 and Turbo, a Power Rangers movie in 1997. Some fans went a step further and created their own. Sort of. In March of 1998, several months after the end of Power Rangers Turbo, the 5th season of the television series, someone named Derek Smith made a post in a Power Rangers newsgroup asking if anyone had a copy of the Power Rangers Zeo shorts that he claimed he himself had seen. As he understood it, there was an 8-minute short film broken up into 2-minute segments that aired exclusively on Australian television ahead of the release of Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Titled Scorpion Rain, it was purported to feature Zeo Red and Zeo Pink fighting against Lord Zed and helped explain how Zed's giant Zord Serpentero was destroyed. The most memorable part of the 2-minute shorts, as Smith described them, was that the visual effects were done with toys on strings and that the dialogue was all badly dubbed Australian substitutes because the actual actors weren't part of the project. Smith claimed to be so interested in the tapes he knew existed that he put out a bounty for anyone willing to cough them up, $20 to $30 American, which, after adjusting for inflation, would be the equivalent of $38 to $58 today. A flush with cash. In the nascent days of the internet, it was harder to prove the veracity of something that seemed too innocuous to be fake. Why would someone create such a silly hoax? There was no Wikipedia, no social media, and for the most part, no real access to the people who created shows like Power Rangers, who didn't spend their time online trying to make sure accurate information was being shared. Along with some friends like Satu Sharp and Amit Balmik, Smith was able to perpetuate the hoax for several years, fueled by Ranger fans' hope that any story even remotely official had been created to fill in the gap in time between Zeo and Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Smith and his friends fabricated summaries of the plot, description of scenes. They even produced a video matching the description of one of the episodes they themselves fabricated. In the video, Amit Baumik voices Zeo Red during the fight with Zed's Serpentera, proclaiming, quote, "Man, that is one ugly Zord." Things broke down in 2001 when a thorough debunking of the entire Scorpion Reign hoax was posted. The poster took great offense at what they saw as Smith's intent to create a rift between US and Australian Power Rangers fans. They poked enough holes in the campaign to prompt a confession from the creators. Smith, Baumik, and the rest of the Scorpion Reign coalition admitted they fabricated the entire thing, that they never intended nor expected that it would go on for as long as it did, and let the community get back to normal Power Rangers fandom business. For exactly 1 year. In 2002, Baumik was a story editor on Power Rangers Wild Force and furthermore, wrote the episode Forever Red. That episode is a 10th anniversary celebration of the franchise that sees all of the previous Red Rangers join forces on the moon to fight against the Machine Empire from Power Rangers Zeo as they attempt to restore Serpentera to functionality. Serpentera, which, by the way, had never been depicted as being destroyed or crashed in actual Power Rangers continuity. That only occurred in Scorpion Reign, which Baumik admitted he considered canon when he wrote Forever Red, and went so far as to have Tommy speak the line, "Wow, that is one ugly Zord," as proof. But is it canon? This is a tough one. I want to say no, but he makes a very good case for it being canon. I mean, he was the guy who wrote the actual episode, and if he says it's canon, then who am I to say it's not? That said, I have to say no, it's not canon. Because Scorpion Reign doesn't actually exist. We just went over this. Since Power Rangers Zeo aired, there have been 24 more Power Rangers seasons, including 17 in a row that followed the original Mighty Morph formula. Direct localizations of the most recent Super Sentai series the following year as the next Power Rangers season. In 2018, Hasbro purchased the franchise from Saban Entertainment. After 5 seasons over 3 different series, Hasbro put the franchise on pause. As of this video, there's been no new television series produced since the end of Power Rangers Cosmic Fury in September of 2023. Just a few weeks ago, in April of 2024, Hasbro announced a new global licensing agreement with rival Playmates to produce new Power Rangers toys beginning in 2025. With no other details, we'll have to wait and see if they will focus on the original Mighty Morphin costumes and robots, or if the world will once again be saved by Zeo. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. Several different tiers to address your specific Secret Galaxy content needs. Check out our new Secret Galaxy merch shop at secretgalaxy.shop. All merchandise is physically in stock and ready to ship. Links to all of this in the description below. And let us know in the comments down below if you think creating a hoax is a viable way to get employed by the television series you're a fan of. I can't imagine it works every time, but it seemed to work this time for at least one of the guys involved. Harder to pull off something like this today with all the resources we have available, but you'd be surprised some of the stuff that's out there that people believe with all the evidence they have working against them. It's not about making it believable, it's about wanting to believe. Cut.